Economies of the future. I Googled that like nobody's business because I'm like, what am I talking about? Economies of the future. And I'm like, I've been asked to speak. I literally dropped the ball and forgot because I've been so busy at work. And then I Googled economies of the future. And at the end of the day, it got to the point where economies of the future is basically about tech or people. I'm not techie. I ask a lot of interns to do a lot of things for me because I have no idea. It works, it doesn't work, oh my God. I freak out. I live at the Apple store, etc. Then I realized people. I got that nailed. So we're gonna do this, we're gonna talk about people. And hopefully you guys can relate to a lot of different things that I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna share a couple of stories, and these stories are true to my heart, and basically true to what I'm gonna be talking about, because I'm gonna focus on actionable legacy. Has anyone heard about actionable legacy? Excellent, because I made it up. Okay? So I grew up I'm first generation born here in America. I'm Haitian descent. Learned how to speak English. My dad came here in 1968. My mom was 8.5 months pregnant when she came to America. I was conceived in Haiti. I was born here. And it was really cool because I'm like, oh my God, like she came here just for me. And I'm thinking, wait a second, that was dangerous. To come on a plane, 8.5 months pregnant, but she wanted the American dream and she got it because everything that they wanted, they created here. My dad was all about making sure that we learned a lot of lessons. Now, he wasn't that typical read a book, and then once you read the book, you're learning something. Never. It was never. There was always this thing he made us to do. Hey, Dad, we just found out that kids get allowance for cleaning their room. Oh my God. I want that. Dad, can we do it? Absolutely not. We left Haiti and we had servants and we literally are not gonna let that happen because you know what? We had kids to do the same exact thing in this country. So guess what? Get in your room and clean it. I'm like, it's not cool. So then we went back to him. I go, no, seriously. I go, all you have to do is make your bed and you can get like $5. Not gonna happen. My dad was king of no. He said no to everything. So he always said, he goes, find a way to make your own allowance. And we're like, okay, we could do that. So my sister and I decided, backtrack. My mom is a phenomenal chef. Phenomenal chef. So you have the mom that's a phenomenal chef, and you have a dad that says no to everything. And we had to find a way to combine it to make allowance. So we figured, you know what? We'll sit there and help mom do a lot of different things. But mom was like, this is what I do for for the job, and this is not your job. So you have to figure out your plan. So we came up with creative ways, and we figured out, hey, we are in elementary school. That's right, elementary school. And we came up with a cool plan to create Dolly Parton lollipops. And with these Dolly Parton lollipops, we literally made chocolate. So every night we'd come home from school. I go and we would just literally just make these Dolly Parton chocolates, and we'd sell them at school for $1.25. We made bank. It was awesome. We lasted about 6 months, and then we got shut down because the kids would eat the lollipops and then take the sticks, and instead of putting them in the trash, they'd put them in the computers. We're like, ooh, bummer. So we got shut down. But it was a way that we became creative because we were told we couldn't do a certain thing. So we came up with creative ways. Now, I'm saying this because, again, my dad was a king of no, but he always gave us an opportunity to learn different ways. And it started even a little bit before that. So, as I mentioned, I'm first generation born here, and I was raised in a Haitian household where we spoke French or Haitian Creole. Now, you go outside of that and you're going to school, it's in English, but the second you go back home, if you're an international individual, it's like the UN. You could just go through different barriers. No rule, all the rules are different. Okay, the food's different, the music's different, literally everything's different. And so I had a little tough time learning English because you're hearing one thing, but you're talking, it's just a lot of times I would combine the words. And so my cousin saw that I was having a really tough time combining the words. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna help you out. You do know the language, but you're having a tough time because you get so excited about certain things. So I'm gonna give you a camera. And with this camera, I want you to take a photo. And with the photo, I want you to tell me what happens. So I'm like, I could do that. So he taught me how to take pictures, and I would go out, take pictures, and I would come back, develop the film. Back in the day, we developed film. And I would tell him the story. I could tell him the smell, the sounds, what was going on, who was to the right of me, who was to the left of me. It was amazing because I was telling the story. And he goes, that's what you're really good at, telling the story, but you're even better at observing people. And that's one of the things that people just don't pay attention to, because in the world that we live in, everyone's heads down, heads down, heads down, but there are a lot of people that just enjoy watching people. Throughout my life, this is one of the things that I just enjoyed doing a lot. I would go to the New York Metropolitan Museum. I would get a grape crush. We don't have grape crushes in New England. It's so weird. I'd get a hot dog, and I would get a knish, and I would sit on the steps, and I'd just watch people. People watching is by far one of my favorite things to do. You see so many different emotions right in front of you. Years went by. I was a teacher, 2nd grade and 6th grade teacher, loved to teach, but then I'm you know what? Let's try something else. I go, again, love to teach, and that's always going to be the base of what I do. But then I'm let me see what else I can do, because I want to advance my career. Wasn't sure exactly how to do it. I interned at a place called Kiss 108 Radio, and the producer at the time was eliminated, the nicer way of saying that. He was eliminated, and the program director came to me and said, "You're now the producer of the Maddie in the Morning Show." I'm yeah, no, thank you. And he's no, seriously, we want you to join the team. I'm yeah, I'm a 2nd grade teacher. I don't know what you guys do. He goes, do you know how to plan and organize? I'm well, yeah, I'm a teacher. I can do that. He's do you know how to sit there and listen to basically know what's the thing, the trending thing, so that way people are engaged. I'm oh yeah, I can do that. He goes, do you know how to work with kids? I'm yeah, I know how to do that. He goes, welcome aboard. I'm oh, okay. So now I'm a person that literally listens to music that was dramatically different than what was happening at Kiss 108 at the time. And I had to figure out, how do I really engage with this audience? I go, what's going on right now that's going to be really engaging? And I just started making lists of things that just made sense to me. I go, I'm going to sit there and try to find things that nobody else would do. Because I grew up in a household where I was always challenged. And so I figured, I'm going to do the same thing here. And so it's Kiss 108. It's the #1 radio station in Boston. What should I do? I go, hey, why don't we get Oprah on the show? Oh, that's so sweet. That's never going to happen. No, seriously. I go, Oprah's everywhere. I don't watch her show, but she's everywhere. I think we can get her on the show. And they're you know what? I go, you know what? You just produce a show and you do your thing. I go, but I don't think it's going to work out. I'm okay, not a problem. But of course, I'm totally determined, because the words that I heard that drove me crazy my entire life was no. And I'm oh, I love the no, because I know for me in my mind is oh, yes, I'm going to figure it out. So it took me 3.5 years, but I got Oprah on the show. And I got her because, one, I love the word no, but also because I learned who Oprah was, what she was doing, but also her people, who she surrounds herself with. Back again, people. Her lawyers, her producers, her fitness director, her chef. I learned everyone that was in her world. I go, and I invited them on the show. Did I mention Oprah's name when they were on the show? No, I did not mention her name not once, because every single person that she surrounds herself with, they're amazing. They're amazing individuals. So Matt got these amazing people on the show. I go, and he did amazing interviews, because we prepared him with all the material from these people. And guess what? Every single time someone was on the show, they went back to Oprah and said, hey, you know what? We were in Boston. We did this an interview, and it was amazing. And we never, ever, ever had to explain you at all. It's amazing. So for me, I was I go, yes, you can get the yes when everyone doubts you. One of the things that I love the most about Oprah and her people were the fact that she surrounded herself with really amazing people, that she did her homework, and she wasn't just collecting bodies, but she was collecting people that were protecting her brand, but were also challenging her brand. As my career went on, I went from a 2nd grade teacher to a radio producer, to a television producer, to a press secretary, to a governor, to a individual that helped start up Mass Challenge, Accelerator for Startups, to a Massachusetts Conference for Women, which is a one-day event for women, to the Boston Chamber of Commerce, where I work for right now. I have now formed the reputation of, I come into a situation when you are in trouble or when you don't exist. I go, and it's really cool because I like to fix things. It's like the puzzle. It's always fun to actually get that puzzle in place. I go, and knowing what the problem is. Now, I'm a marketing and branding specialist. And being a marketing and branding specialist, we're storytellers. Remember all the way at the beginning when I said I learned how to tell stories from the camera? Full circle. I really love telling other people's stories. Whether you are an individual that is leaving college, or an individual that is 2, 3, 4 years in your job force, or whether you're retiring, I love telling your story. So the best part about being in the media was telling other people's stories, because sometimes you get really hung up on what's going on right now. In telling everybody's stories, I realize more and more that everyone is really, really, really hesitant about sharing their stories. And every one of you guys have the most robust stories in the world. Now, on top of the fact that I've had this really, really odd, crazy, bizarre, unique career, I've also traveled. Being first generation born here, you automatically have a passport in your hand. And because you have that passport in your hand, you want to make sure that you travel and see the world. It was awesome because I've been to every single continent but one. And in doing so, I got to visit the most amazing people out there and seeing the people and really understanding what their plights were. And I think that's one of the things that helped a lot. So needless to say, for me, I wanted to make sure that I got a better understanding of exactly how to engage with audiences by knowing all audiences. So at the Chamber, I'm the Director of Small and Diverse Businesses. Now, small, 50 under, 75 under, depending on what you see as a small business, but the diverse part is the one that's like the one I love the most. So whether you are a woman-owned business, a vet-owned business, a family-owned business, a gay and lesbian-owned business, a high-impact, high-growth entrepreneur, just like a whole melee. Because growing up, I was not allowed to be in a situation where only one person or one group was together. So I couldn't be in all African-American groups or all Haitian groups or all women groups. My dad always said, if everyone's not here, then you need to walk out. Because at any given time, someone in the room will say something that someone may not agree with, but if everyone's not in the room to defend themselves, why be there? So you want to be in a situation where you're in a room with everyone. And that's not just now, but that's in life. So in your lifetime, you want to go and you want to travel. You want to learn different languages. You want to eat different foods. You want to hear different music. Because at the end of the day, it makes you more marketable. It's the brand. Now, think about when you were younger and you're going to someone's house. Your parents would say, now we're going to XYZ's house. Do not embarrass us. Say please and thank you. From day one, you guys started branding yourselves. Now think about as adults. You're getting out there and you want to be able to brand yourself. You want to get out there and you want to sit there and tell people what you do and who you are. Tell them who you are, because you are part of the future. You are the individuals that are going out there and telling people, I need to be seen, but I have a skill set that only I have the skill set. I have the skill set that literally trumps everybody else because I've done all these other things. Anyone could do marketing. Anyone could do economy. Anyone could do finance. Anyone could do science. But what do you bring to the table? You bring to the table all the other things that you do. When I actually applied for my MBA program, it was very surprising because I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to get into an MBA program. I fool around a lot. I have fun. I engage, but I'm not that studious person. I love to learn. And it was very, very surprising, like during the interview where I recited and I remembered all these different things, and it just, I couldn't, I didn't know what I was going to do to prepare for this interview. But I just went in there, and she just looked at my resume, and she's like, I see that you've run a Boston Marathon before. I'm like, yeah. I go, yeah, I have. And she's like, I go, how was that? I go, it was hard. And she goes, what was hard about it? I'm like, my hair hurt, my eyebrows hurt, everything just hurt. And we went through this entire interview, and it was very surprising because for her, she's like, it's not about the task, but it's the process. So throughout your life, you want to have a phenomenal process of engaging with your audience, engaging with the world, and making yourself stand out that much more. My last thought, my grandmother, she died at 95 2 years ago. And one of the things that she always said to me was, in your lifetime, make friends with all people of all ages, all sizes, and all over the world. Because when you die, you will have a full audience at your funeral. Thank you.